Hello everyone, welcome back to the Renzi podcast, a rendition of back-to-back days of the Renzi podcast, and a weekend full of Olympiacos, of course, which if you have been keeping up with social media coverage as always, I think we all enjoyed this weekend very much, and I think even that may be considered an understatement. But yeah, happy days. Happy Olympiacos days, happy red and white feelings. Also, I swear by next show I am gonna save. I promise to you all this mess is gonna go away. But yeah, what we're here to talk about today, aside from giving the flowers to all the Olympiacos departments for doing their duty and picking up wins, is the Atromitos game in which Olympiacos won 3-0, leaving it a bit late, getting a bit too comfortable, perhaps up until a certain point. But with Taramis praise, ultimately El Kabir's penalty win and conversion gets sealed off perfectly. And we prove once again that we have one of the most insane, if not the most insane, actually, no, the most insane by far attack in the league. Attacking trio, especially because, of course, Yaremchuk picked himself up an assist as well, which is not something to be overlooked in the absolute slightest, right? But yeah, standing wise, after that victory and after results in general going about as expected as they were. We stand top of the league still with a plus 19 goal difference and 28 points out of 11 games. Pauk stands second with a plus 16 goal difference and 26 points. Ike, who just beat Aris 1-0, stands third 25 points and just a plus 5 goal difference. Then it's Levadiakos with a game less. Still probably gonna be the best attack in the league when they play. Standing fourth with 18. Same for Panathinaikos, same games, 18 points. Volo, same games, 18 points as well. And then chaos ensure, right? I mean, the fact that Aris seem helpless this season, arguably, thankfully, leaves up their usually wasted European spot for a team that will actually fight for it, want it, and chase it to the fullest as a lifetime opportunity, right? So that's positive news for Greek football in general. But we'll see how the season goes, of course, still a very, very, very long way. And the main thing to focus on is our own games, our own business, and what we need to be doing to secure the main goals that are, of course, the Super League title and the Greek Cup. Now, these games, the patromitos of the league and such, are the much needed comfortable wins. They are momentum boosters. They are opportunities for people that don't usually play that much. They are perfect chances for people to find form again, as such did a certain keeper, but we'll talk about that. And in general, they're games that should be taken more as teachable moments and victories, if that makes sense in a way. And of course, getting right into the performances, the man himself, Konstantinos Zoulakis, if you would have talked about it before the game, perhaps we would have said that Zoulakis wouldn't be as needed, but he was more than needed, making two very crucial saves and having a successful run out of the box as well. Zoulakis, the reason that the win was as comfortable as it was, not the main reasons, but definitely one of, as he completely just shut down the net as Zoulakis usually does, and shut up the many haters that exist towards his and even in our fan base for some reason, and reminded everyone that he's right here and that we haven't even seen the best of him just yet. So yeah, that's one of the perfect examples on how stuff can go in games like this, and that's the ideal scenario. Like, come out of this game having upped your goal difference, having found momentum, and having no injuries, most importantly, and especially ahead of such an important game as Real Madrid, such a gigantic game as Real Madrid. We needed this. Like, there's no way to underestimate it. We needed this. We needed a comfortable victory. And there was stuff, as Mendy said, there was stuff, especially in the first half, that weren't necessarily the best. But the fact that we ultimately got the result comfortably locked down is both praise to Mendilibar for nailing the subs, and it's praise to the players as well for getting it done. The defense in general, again, wasn't threatened that much. Perhaps there is a bit of a complaint per se for the two chances that Atromitos had, but they didn't really need to do much. It was more of a classic Super League quiet game for them. I really liked the SN Nascimento duo once again. I really like that duo. And with Chiquinho in front of them, that midfield trio in general is something to keep an eye out of. And again, props to Mendilibar, because again, I would have done it the opposite way, but he did bring on Mouzakitis on the 67th when we needed something to lock this game down for Diogo Nascimento. And of course, on the 67th minute, also in came Roman Yaremchuk and Mehdi Taremi. And that, before I continue to go on about performances, that brings me to another point that has become more evident than ever. And that's the point that I don't think that even we, up until a certain point at the very least, can physically go on and fathom the quality that we have and the blessing that we have as a frontline trio. Of course, Ayoub El Kabi, undisputed legend, undisputed starter, insane quality, goals galore, even if he has fallen off a tad bit this season. And then behind him comes a player of Mehdi's quality, right? Taremi, world class, clutch. He's been scoring, if I'm not completely mistaken, every 51 minutes for Olympiacos thus far, having picked up 8 goals on the season. And then, along with Taremi, you have Roman Yaremchuk, who, both in his presence and in his absence, has shown how crucial he is for our game, has shown that his abilities aren't covered by anyone else. And if we want to close out games comfortably, he's a necessity. So the fact that we have such coverage, God help everyone stays healthy, the fact that we have such coverage at striker is insane. And do disagree with me in the comments if you so wish. But I will put out the argument again that this is the most complete and best three choices, three options we've had a striker of all time. I don't think there has ever been such good, such quality, such consistent, and such up to a point excellent depth at the striker position at Olympiacos. Let alone in any other position, but focusing specifically on the striker. Moving on from that, back to performances. Gelson Martins. Gelson played 84 minutes, gave his place to Yusuf Yazici. And God is Gelson a weird player. I feel like every single time we talk about Gelson in completely different games, we have completely different things to say. The thing about Gelson, at least in my eyes, in my humble opinion, right? He's such an incredible player. He's such an incredible winger with a lack of final decision. He can do everything perfectly. And he is needed not just in Olympiacos' game, but not arguably, I think, undeniably, as a starter for Olympiacos. And he can do everything from point A to point B perfectly, and then fuck up the shot at the end. The goal he scored against PSV Eindhoven is not something that we should be asking of Gelson. It's not, because that's not what he brings to the game. But the hitting the woodwork, the blocked shot, the shots that send to the moon. And yeah, okay, Taremi came in and closed the game eventually, right? But in games like this, when he's having such a good game in general, such a good game, either a goal or an assist are a must, because he should be one of the players we rely upon to close out these kinds of games. He should be one of those players. And he wasn't, sadly, because he should be day in and day out. Again, God help he stays healthy. Danny Podence, on the other hand, didn't have that loud of a game. He had more of a quiet game. 3 key passes, 9 crosses, a solid 82% in accuracy of passes in general. He had 3 shots, 1 on target, 1 blocked, and of course, how could I forget? I think I already cleansed it, or wanted to cleanse it out of my memory, that chance, that goddamn chance, where out of I don't remember if it was a pass or a deflection or or even a save by Fotosiotis. Danny picks up the ball that arranged between me and the phone recording, and then just completely rockets it straight to the face of an already grounded Houtessiotis. Which fair play to Lefteris Houtessiotis. What a save to be able to even just launch yourself back up from the ground and put your body in the way for that. But how? How? It's the same argument that I was saying in regards to Zelson. When you have such a good game, even if your game is more on the quiet side, when you have such a good game, you can't physically, you can't physically go on and not score that. Because again, yeah, okay. Taremi came in and finished the game off. Same for Yaramchuk with his assist to Taremi. But come on. Come on. Those, I get it happens, okay? But those need to be scored. And then we go on to another man that found incredible form again, had an incredible game in general. Won that penalty, converted it himself. And for those of you that may catch it, that aren't necessarily Olympiacos fans and are of the category of the fans that refuse to see common logic, yeah, it was a penalty. I'm not even usually not shutting down discussion immediately, but yeah, no, this was a penalty and we move on. The clear as day penalty that he won himself and converted himself. He also had 4 shots with 3 of them on target, 1 blocked. Again, clinicality problem, maybe, but in general, he pulled his weight. Ayun pulled his weight. The clinicality and the effectiveness has been an issue. I feel like that we've been talking about ever since the start of the season, and now we're 11 games in the league. We are 4 games in the Champions League, and so on and so forth. But it's been lessened for sure. Mind you, other issues have arisen from absolutely nowhere, yes. But direct attack and effectiveness have been lessened as a problem. But we still need to eradicate it as much as humanly possible, right? We talked about Christos Mouzakitis coming in. This kid, now officially winner of the Golden Boy Web, with an insane amount of votes, beating out insane talent and getting recognized, both to the insane benefit and insane detriment, because January will be a long month in regards to Mouzakitis. A reminder, Olympiacos have set a 45 million euro starting price for negotiation for the potential sale of Christos Mouzakitis. This kid can come in for 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes, or even play the full 90 and completely boss the midfield on his own, no matter who he's playing against. And God, do I hope he gets a substantial amount of time against Real Madrid, because we will need him. But yeah, incredible game. Roman Yaremchuk, we also talked about, came in, did his thing, assisted Taremi. Taremi, who gets my clear out and out MVP. I don't think there is even a singular doubt that it was between him and Ayoub El Gabi. I'll give it to Taremi. I'll still give it to Taremi. I posted about it yesterday. I don't really want to go back on my word. Do go, of course, in the comments down below. Of course, subscribe if you like what you see in general. Check the backlog. There is a lot of episodes, a lot of vlogs, interviews, and a lot of things coming up very, very soon. And like as well, as it helps push out the streams especially. But do leave in the comments your MVP, of course, as always. I love seeing the different opinions on the MVP. It's almost never unanimous, and it's always insane to see. But yeah, Taremi helping seal out the game, proving his class, his clutch ability, his confidence once again, and still proving why he deserves to be here. He deserves to be here. And he deserves all the praise and the flowers that the fan base has to offer without a singular doubt. Now, my usual complaint. Yusuf Yazici, 6 minutes. I'm pretty sure that extra time wasn't even. Yeah, he played 10 minutes of football. Why? I, I feel like I sound like a broken record, and I probably will until the end of the season, or inevitably when he may leave in January, which he probably will. But I don't get why Madrid doesn't try and get the most out of this player. Give him 20, 30 minutes, he'll score a goal, he'll assist, he'll create a chance for a goal. That's for certain. He's an insane player with insane quality that sadly just doesn't seem to fit here. But the respect alone and the love alone that he's shown to the fans, to the club, then no matter what happens, it set him in the good books of Olympiacos. Strafecha, Gabriel also getting 10 minutes of football. Not really having the time to do much, taking the place, of course, of Danny Podens. I really want to see more of Strefecha because I've stood on the ground that he can give more. He has the quality to actually go on and give more to this team. So in games like this, I would love to see more of him. Also, I hope I'm not lagging. I hope that's just on my end. But yeah, I would love to see more of Strefecha. He didn't really have time to do anything. But we move with the victory as it came, with a chaotically yet peaceful and certain way it came, if that makes sense again. And we look on to the accursed game of Real Madrid. Of course, Real a team full of absences. Real a team that are carrying a relatively heavy injury list and potential injury list coming into this game. I don't really remember who they're missing specifically. Let me actually go and try and see that. Or if anyone remembers, do let me know in the comments now or later who is missing from Real Madrid squad, so I don't just completely go out of the blue and just spew stuff that just isn't true. But yeah, this is ironically one of the most unpredictable games of the season because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how the team's going to play. You don't know what you'll go on and do. And honestly, you don't know how the teams will clash. I want to be optimistic because, especially with how unlucky, how heartbreaking, and even how underwhelming the results of the Champions League have been up to now. I feel like if we do go on and get something from a team like Madrid at home, right? Say it's a 0-0 draw, and we get a point against Madrid at home. The team then can take a huge breath for the games coming up and go in those games with confidence enough to even sneak in 24th. Right? Even if we finish 24th and qualify, I don't think anyone will have a singular complaint about it. Even if we finish 24th. Now, if we can pull off a bloody miracle against Real Madrid and pick up a win, then the season may completely turn around. And again, we're talking about a wounded Madrid. I'm really holding back on saying who's gonna miss. I'll put up an injury list either tomorrow or just a day before to wait to see the absolute confirmations. I think the likes of Courtois, Tchouaméni, even Kylian may not make the game. It's very unpredictable. And I don't want to call it season making or breaking because I feel like that just fits the Eindhoven games better or the Paphos games better at the start of the campaign. But if any team can pick up the goal, can pick up the strength and the passion to go and do something against Madrid, despite how the campaign has gone up to now, that's this team. And I believe that. And that's why I'm going to drop two predictions. The realistic one and the optimistic one. The realistic prediction is how the campaign. Also, do drop your predictions in the comments whenever and wherever you're listening. The realistic one would probably be 1-2 loss or a 0-2 loss. I don't think anyone would complain with that. But I don't know if it's hopium, delusion, or call it whatever the hell you wanna. There is something that tells me that we can do something against this wounded Madrid. So, as my final prediction, getting the realistic one out of the way, I'll say that we'll pick up a point against Madrid and we'll do it with a 1-1 draw. Now, will that come back to completely bite me? You know what? Probably. But I'm willing to stand on that ground. Because as long as the team plays like Olympiacos and not as unconcentrated as we had against Paphos and Eindhoven, we know the stadium is going to erupt like a damn volcano. Nothing's impossible. Never say never fits a lot here. And yeah, drop your predictions below. Call me delusional freely if you want. I'm late today, red and white weekends full of victories. There's nothing better. It's fitting to slowly close out the show with such a positive message as I opened it because, of course, as I said at the start of the episode, it's been a weekend and a half for Olympiacos. Victories everywhere, even despite the beating that was just a draw, no losses all around, important victories, qualifications, bounce backs, everything's on the socials. Either go down in the description to look at it or scan this QR code right here if you want to check out the link tree that has most, if not all, the socials. And yeah, there is nothing better. There is nothing better than such an enjoyable weekend, and it's what I was talking about with my folks as well, and some friends from the show and outside of it. That yeah, okay, there is a lot of stuff, but the feeling of reporting on the team you love and seeing it succeed so much, just it's indescribable. And I have nothing and no one to thank for being able to do this other than you guys. Each and every one of you that watches, keeps up with the socials, whether you've been following for a month, a week, a day, or the full year and a half now, very slowly but surely, next March closing up to 2 full years of RSP. And God, have you guys also seen me grow as a person these few years, which is only so mad. A lot of stuff is happening on the daily now. And as much as I keep up with it and of course enjoy it to the fullest, but keep up with it, just there is a little part of my brain that keeps going insane saying what's happening. And that's why I keep reminding you all that despite everything going on outside of here and everything that has been going on for the past year and a half, I will be forever grateful for all your support and try to give back the best way possible. Now, closing off with some more positive news, renewals, contract renewals. Of course, Costinha and Lorenzo Pirola have already been made official. Mendilibar, thankfully, is set to follow, as far as I'm aware. Just before I started the show, news broke out that Botis and Kalogeropoulos, two of, in my opinion, the main pieces of the pillar for the future of Olympiacos, and two of my personal favorite players coming up through the Olympiacos ranks, are going to get their deals renewed, as Mendilibar has them in very high regard in regards to the future of this team. And hopefully, Ayub El Khabir's contract situation will get sorted sooner rather than later, because there is a lot of interest, and similar with a lot of players, it's going to be a long, long winter. Thank you all for joining me for this short one today. Go over to the Thrylos 7 boys if they haven't finished, and go check them out in general. And I'll see you all on Wednesday, more than likely, unless something major happens, with hopefully one of the most celebratory shows we've had yet, and hopefully after a while again with Gav as well. Thank you all so much.